We're back for another episode. I think it's number 4. We're previewing the AFC East today. Stay tuned. It's that Nickel and Dime Show. All right, let's do this. We got the AFC East. It is a big division. It's been run by the Pats for quite a while now. They got a couple of teams see the light at the end of the tunnel maybe for that rebuild. Sean, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Good to be back with you for week 4. It's becoming like a regular thing here, man. I'm digging
loving it, man.
Yeah,
we got to keep doing this. Couple of housekeeping notes before we get into this AFC East,
Right.
and we'll touch on this way more when we get to the Jets. But that Jamal Adams trade, man, he's finally out of New York.
Yeah, big. He talked his way out of New York, man. We'll definitely get into it a little bit later, but really interesting dynamic to get into more a little bit later for sure.
I think I'm more interested that a team was able to get 2 first-round picks for a safety than I am out of him being able to talk his way out of New York.
Now an all-pro safety, like we got to get that man his due.
Of course, it's
but
still safety.
Still, I mean, 2 first-round picks is a pretty steep price, and that like you really can't.
And McDougal.
Like we'll get into it, man. We giving away too much. We giving away too much. You're good.
Recapping for something we were talking about a few weeks ago, Mostert from the Niners has restructured his deal.
Nice.
Essentially doubling his contract if he hits these bonuses and incentives. He's baseline of 2.5. He got another 2.7 out of bonuses and incentives this heading his way. You know that man's gonna hit his numbers.
And he will hit his numbers, and he should get paid because he will be the most used back in that offense. But Drew, you hit on it.
And not the most paid.
And not the most paid. I was about to say, and you hit on it just a second ago. Like, he's still not making as much as his backups, which is a problem.
McKinnon is making a good chunk of change. He's making in the 7s. So what are you doing, Niners?
Exactly. So I think it'll get the situation will play itself out, but I don't think he is a 49er come 2021 for sure.
Come to Carolina, be that dynamic duo with him and McCaffrey.
He good. Stay where you at, bro. Stay where you at. We don't want to see you.
All right, well, the balls are starting to drop. We had a couple players opt out of the season. So first of all, you called it the good doctor.
The good doctor. Are you surprised at all, man? Like, are you surprised that happened? No.
You mean because the most educated man on the field is not going to play because it's sketchy?
Right, exactly, and it is sketchy, and that's not to say that we don't want you to play football.
Please
because
play football.
We do want you to play football.
Please play
I'm just saying, we just want everybody to be safe, of course. But the doctor opted out.
We understand.
Right, he opted out.
A couple more players opted out. The Ravens kick returner DeAnthony Thomas.
Okay.
And the Pats fullback Danny Vitale.
Okay. So Dan Vitale wasn't gonna play anyway, so no problem there. But if anybody
would
wants
you be more inclined to do that? Would you be more inclined if you had a backup role or you weren't really going to be a big part of the team? Would you opt out quicker than if you were like the number 1 receiver or the first running back?
I think it kind of goes both ways. So you still have, like, if you are the starter, obviously you need to be in there. The team is going to look to you a little bit more. But then if you're those bottom of the roster guys or a guy who is in transition, then maybe the money is the thing. Like, if this is a contract year, and I mean, it kind of goes for whatever level you may be at within the team, for sure. I think.
Completely understand that.
Right.
All right, man. Well, let's kick into it. We got
AFC East,
a very interesting division.
Yeah, and I really didn't like getting into it. I wasn't necessarily excited about the AFC East, but you hit on it. It's like you started getting into these storylines, and it gets a little deep.
It does, man. I found out there were some players that I maybe had forgotten about or popping up on these teams. So I'm excited about this division. So exactly. I mean, kicking it right away, you got to give credit where credit is due. It has been this team's division for the last 20 years.
Yep.
We'll start off with the Patriots.
New England Patriots. Yeah. So
the Brady-less New England Patriots.
The Brady-less Patriots. And it's crazy, man, because like the quarterback is now completely different than it was the last 20 years. Like, that's 2 decades of Tom Brady and what you got from that style of quarterback, and now you have a complete 180 in Cam Newton's style of play. I mean,
is he the day one starter?
For sure.
First game
for
of
sure.
He starts.
And I love how they tried to give us Jarrett Stidham all off season. Like, they was pumping this kid. Like, and I honestly, I feel bad for him, man. They was pumping this kid. I started
believing him. I was like, I guess they see something in him that we don't see.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't question Belichick, right? You just can't question him. No. So they're starting Stidham and they're going with that, and then and now you have Cam Newton sitting right there. I do have receipts saying that he needs to go. I love pumping myself. I don't know if you noticed that, but I did.
Hearing of it.
No, yeah, but I got receipts on Cam Newton to the Patriots. It finally happens, and then the rest of the league just kind of out of nowhere is like, wow, what brilliant Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? Like, they were just like,
right.
And it was like he was there the whole time. How could you not see this coming? So. You know. I
still don't understand why a team like the Chargers or something like that didn't go after him, but we've gotten into that before. So
and we did,
and he ends up with the Patriots.
Right, exactly. You will notice a common theme in this show. We will call back to old episodes. So again, go back and watch the old episodes. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, with the draft, didn't have a first round pick.
No
real flashy names.
Right.
They do what they do, and they got a couple of tight ends in the third round. Asai out of UCLA. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. And Keene out of Virginia Tech. I did watch Keene out of Virginia Tech. He's a great player. I mean, not flashy by any means, but that's the Patriots way. You know?
Well, I gotta disagree with you there a little bit, man.
Okay.
So the Patriots did not have a pick in the first round, but I like their first two picks. I really do.
Okay.
Shout out to the homegrown kid Kyle Duggar out of Lenore Rhine. Drew, the Carolina Panthers got Jeremy Chin, that the hard hitting safety, right?
Love
Small school guy. Same thing with Kyle Duggar. So Kyle Duggar was honestly the number. I wouldn't say he was the number one rated safety, but he was a very late bloomer, small school guy, hard hitter. This dude is a player. And then, it just kind of confirms the fact that Belichick is the one who drafted him, right? We were just talking about how he's such a savvy guy. So
he didn't have a yacht like Jerry Jones.
No, he didn't.
Sitting around, creeping, making great picks.
Oh,
he
yeah.
Always does.
And you remember the dog? Because this draft, do you remember, them putting a pick? He had his dog, drafting for him and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this was the home draft.
I love that he's got a great sense of humor.
Right.
Everyone thinks he's this robot football coach, but
right.
Dude's
and
funny.
It's subtle. It's very, very subtle. Yeah, it's very subtle.
It's great. I love it. I love that he wears tattered sweatshirts because they won't let him wear a suit. He's like, all right, cool, I'll cut the sleeves off.
Yeah, he should just put a tie on it and then just go with the whole thing. But yeah, so I like him. I like Kyle Duggar, and I like Josh Uche out of Michigan as well. So aside from that, you said you watched Dalton Keene. He is a guy that I heard about. So we'll see how it plays out, man. Honestly, we'll see how it plays out with their draft picks, and I hope they work out.
Yeah, and I'm quick shout out. I'm an ACC guy, so they got Justin Herron, the tackle from Wake Forest. He was behind that little bit of a resurgence that Wake Forest has had the last few years with their offense.
Okay, so I mean, if moving along to their offense, man, you have Cam Newton. Cam Newton has gone so far as to say now he's going to be able to call a bunch of different stuff he wasn't able to call with Brady, the GOAT.
I mean, he's got to be drooling at the thought of Cam Newton now, you know what I mean? And this is a motivated Cam. I don't know if you guys have been following Cam on social media. A lot of people don't care for the guy because of the way he dresses and the way he types. I hate the way he types. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm on board.
It's horrible. It is horrible, yeah.
But the man is motivated. He is in the gym. He is working. This is the best I've seen him look, and I've been a Panthers fan his entire tenure. This Cam Newton scares me. If I was in the AFC East, I would be scared of Cam Newton and the Patriots.
You hit the nail on the head, man. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm scared of this Cam. This looks like a MVP type Cam. If he can put it all together and just he looks like he's not letting that BS get to him. You hit the nail on the head with that one, man. It's a little scary, and you know that I wasn't a Cam Newton fan, and we talked about taking those rose-colored glasses off last episode. Seeing him, I'm actually able to let myself be a fan again, and it looks a little scary. So the only thing I want to know is if he can be more accurate than he has been. He is not go ahead.
He's got to be, because they got too many great runners behind him
Sure.
for them to have to rely on him to run a lot. You know what I mean? You got some great receivers. He's got to be accurate. That's the only thing this year.
So
He's got to be that pocket passer.
He does, especially in this system. But I think they may have a little bit of variation. I know they don't want him to run, but I think if he is healthy, they will add some wrinkles because maybe at this point you don't expect him to run. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to throw it off. You know what I mean?
I mean, you know, Belichick and is McDaniels is still with them, right? Like he's still the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and he's
going to keep them on their toes. You know, they're going to have him run on a 4th and 4 out of nowhere. You know?
What I do like though, Drew, what I do like about their offense, is their offensive line. Obviously, if they were protecting Brady, you know they have to be good, right? So like, I'd love like
stablemate Andrews has been there
exactly.
for a minute.
Yep. Isaiah Wynn. Like their young left tackle, Joe Tooney, their franchise guy. So they re-signed Joe Tooney. Shout to NC State. You know, and they still have I know. But they here. You know what I mean? Julian Edelman.
Football players and basketball players.
Yeah, I want Sony Michel to stay healthy. He's a great back. I really wanted him when he was coming out. Mo Sanu and Keel Harry, out of Arizona State. Yeah,
I'm intrigued to see how Marquise Lee fits in this. You remember a few years ago he went off for Jacksonville.
Yeah, and they still have James White too, which I really like. So,
dude, and Burkhead can come in at the drop of a hat. You know,
they got your man Demir Bird. Didn't he play for the Panthers a couple years ago? Yeah,
their kick returner. He was one of those guys. I mean, we were talking about it last week about the not having the mini camp and not having the preseason. He was one of those guys that shined in the preseason and made the roster. So
because I remember hearing his name.
Team.
Yeah, I remember.
They'll definitely use him, especially. I mean, I'm not 100% sold that Sanu's going to be healthy the whole year. So it's good that they got those guys.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, and you never know how it's going to play out. But I honestly, I kind of like what I'm seeing here on their offense. But how do they put it together? Like, how quickly does it come together with Cam Newton learning the system? Altered off season again is going to be a huge theme moving forward. Yeah, but I do like it. So how quickly does it go? And we'll get into the schedule after we get into the defense. But Drew, what you got, man? What you think?
I like this defense too. I put up yesterday is who's got the best secondary in the league, and I think these guys have to be up there in that talk. The McCourties and Patrick Chung and Gilmore. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's a ridiculous secondary.
Okay, yeah. Plus,
a lot of young quarterbacks in this division, and these guys are just going to go headhunting.
And now you add the rookie and Kyle Duggar, who can play in the box, maybe can match up with some of those bigger tight ends with that secondary. Dante Hightower, Winovich is very good.
Fantastic. This defense has won me a lot of fantasy games. Over the last few years. So
and that was
I'm all for this defense.
Yeah, and I'm with you because through a large chunk of the season last year, that was their calling card when Brady and the offense really wasn't getting it done, when they were being inconsistent and all that stuff. So I think they. Honestly, man, if they can, you don't want to take anything away from Brady. Obviously, I'm not going to do that because he's on my team.
Right.
But I really think they will be a lot more balanced. But it really, honestly, and this is another thing we're going to talk about, the quarterback. How quickly can Cam Newton get up to speed, get integrated into this offense, and
we also can't put down the fact that we just can assume he's going to be healthy for all 16 games too.
That's very true. That's very true.
I feel like my main selling point on Cam when he first came to Carolina is he was indestructible. Dude could get popped by the biggest defender,
and he proved that for years. He proved that. Yeah.
But now I feel like every time he gets hit. Because, he's still not getting the calls.
You hold your breath a little bit, right?
Yeah, they're still not calling, Von Miller can helmet to helmet whatever he wants to, and they're not going to call that.
I will say that. Yes, you are right. Cam Newton's taken some shots over the years that other quarterbacks.
That Super Bowl broke my heart, man.
Yeah. Well,
we basically watched Cam Newton get murdered on the field.
And I would say from a non-biased perspective, call you out just a little bit here, just a tad, just a tad.
Biased. But
right.
Definitely, there was some shots.
There was some shots
that should have been called.
Yeah, but you know what did not help though is the fact that that fumble or the lack thereof, where he didn't get on the ball, just kind of takes away, and that's what people remember.
Oh,
and
no doubt.
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate
we
because
also
he did take some
don't know
shots.
how much he was there. You know, like you look in his eyes, they're a little glassy. You know, like you don't know how many of those shots that he was like, I don't even remember that.
You definitely hold your breath a little bit with Cam, but like I think they'll be balanced, man. And honestly, looking at their schedule, okay,
they do get tested a little early.
They do get tested. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like if I'm looking at it, I could see them starting 2-4.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right? Like I can see them starting 2-4.
I mean, if you're Miami, don't you want to punch them in the face right from the get-go?
Oh yeah. And like we'll get into Miami. We will definitely get into Miami, but I can definitely see them starting 2-4, right? But I don't know. And honestly, going back to your point in a second, but like they get the early bye. Is that a little bit of NFL bias, like giving them the early bye, giving them time for Cam Newton to kind of get even more acclimated into the system, right? Yeah. But that's what I was saying is like you were talking about hits on Cam and how he didn't get them before, right? Now that he's with the Patriots, does that change?
That's what I'm excited to see.
Right.
Does he get the? And I mean, this is your guy now, but does he get the Brady treatment?
I think.
Does he get the, hey ref, you gonna call that? Oh yeah, flag on the field.
Listen. I honestly think he does, bro. Like I really think he does because like you change the scenery, you know. And let's not mince words. I mean, Carolina, for all in most people's eyes, is a small market team, right? You know, aside from when they had the MVP, all that stuff. Yeah. Now you're in a higher profile city with New England. You know what I mean? Like. I think he may get some calls. You're going to be on TV a lot more. People are interested in that team. Yeah, I think he starts to get those calls. So,
so I mean, that's only going to make him more dangerous. I feel like if
exactly.
He's going to make this crazy run for 20 yards, then you're going to tack on an unsportsmanlike.
You're exactly right.
After 15 yards after the fact, like, come on, these guys are going to be untouchable.
Yeah, and I'm with you. So, like, I think they start 2-4, right? But then and then right after the bye, you get San Francisco.
And then they got Buffalo
at Buffalo. So like honestly, I think Bill Belichick coming out of a bye, I'm with it. Like I'm with it. So I think they get that San Fran game. And it's at home too. So San Fran's got to come. Yeah. Well, young Garrop.
Could have been switched. You know.
Right. Yeah. It really could have. And we'll still have to see how that plays out, man. But I really don't know.
They went 12-4 last year. You got to think they at least take a step back on that.
I think so. With this team, I could see. I mean, I don't know. I mean, after the bye, they get San Francisco. They do have Baltimore and Houston back to back. So let's say win, loss. I don't know.
Yeah. See, I'm going.
It gets tricky. It's going tricky.
9-7, 8-8.
I'll take that. I'm gonna just cop out on it, man, and take 9-7 with you, man, because it's like there's a lot of up and down.
Fighting for that 6 or 7 seed. You know,
I could see that, and honestly, like I will give them the Belichick bump, so I could see them fighting for that 7 seed as well. Yeah. 6 might be a little bit too rich for my blood on that, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So who we got next? Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, let's get into them Bills. We got a common theme here. No first rounder.
Okay. Yes, they do not have a first rounder, and to be honest with you, who did they took Jake Fromm, but their first pick was AJ.
That's the appropriate. They took Jake. I'm more excited to see how Zach Moss from Utah plays.
Yeah, and I was watching his tape. That dude's
I was big on him.
He's a bowling ball, man. He's a bowling ball out of Utah, man, and
they got Gabriel Davis from UCF. He made some plays in his college career too.
Well, I like AJ Epineza too, but like he's like a lumberer, man. Like he was their first pick in the second round. You know what I mean? But I think he could just be serviceable. Like I don't think he is really what they're gonna want him to be when it's all said and done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. Jake Fromm, like I enjoyed watching him in college. Kind of see. I didn't think he'd fall all the way to the 5th round, but I knew he wasn't going to be a team's first choice. You know? Yeah,
and it was kind of steep his decline from where he started at the beginning of the year, and then where he went down to and when he actually got drafted.
He could never do the big games. You know?
Yeah, he couldn't. Like, good news for them though is Ed Oliver's charges were dropped, right? Like, as far as that's huge for them. So and like he kind of clapped back and was like, I told you so on Twitter or IG or something like that. So like he said that all along. So shout to Ed Oliver, man. He's a really good player. I'm gonna be.
I think it was one of those cases in Houston where it just him and the coach just didn't get along. You know what I mean? Like, I think he got painted in a terrible picture in college because his coach hated his guts. Yeah.
And like, they used him completely wrong. Like, that information really didn't come out until he started the draft process, right? Like, they were like, oh, like, we're looking at his tape and like what he's going to be in the pro is not what he was doing at all in college. So and he still wreaked havoc like all college. So that's a part of the reason why I love Ed Oliver. I wanted him for the Bucks. I thought it was a real chance that he could be there. So I'm gonna be honest, man. Looking at their running back group, I like Devin Singletary, right? He started off. Frank Gore, obviously, you know, GOAT status. I love Frank Gore. Yeah, I love Frank Gore.
But you got TJ Yeldon. He's no slouch.
TJ Yeldon is no slouch. I actually do like TJ Yeldon a lot, but Devin Singletary took over for Frank Gore like down the stretch, and then
the Singletary Moss show.
Exactly, and that's what I was about to shout you out for, because like you have Singletary and then you add Moss. I think that is where the strength of this team will be. And then you also, like, you have Josh Allen, who rushed for 9 touchdowns last year, right. Like in half a grand, right? Like,
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. My bad. I thought for sure Josh Allen was going to be a bust.
That's what, Drew.
It from day one, I was like, Josh Allen is a bust. So let me apologize to that man.
Respect, sir.
Respect, sir. Years, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And took him to a playoff, right? Like, he took him to a playoff.
I mean, Buffalo and playoffs. You know, you don't really do that in the same sentence.
That's another thing. And you could probably speak to this too, man, because there's Carolina Panthers written all over this roster, right?
God, I wish he would have become our head coach.
Yeah, that would have been.
Ron stayed a couple years too long, and we should have had. This should be our coach.
Kind of all over this roster. So I was watching. I do like them. I like Josh Allen. He's not he hadn't passed for 4,000 yards last year, but he still, you know, he over 3,000 yards, 20 TDs, 9 interceptions, right? Another 9 TDs on the ground, and like I said, half a grand in yards, 500 yards. So with those running backs, I think that's where the strength of this team is now. John Brown was extremely consistent last year. Like, he did his thing. Cole Beasley,
Stephon Diggs in the house now.
Exactly. So that's the big thing. Like, you just dropped it. So like, Stephon Diggs gets traded from Minnesota over. How do you think that with John Brown and Cole Beasley really kind of coming on? I think both had 6 TDs last year, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. With Josh Allen not really being a 4,000-yard passer, how do you think that shakes out next year, man?
I think I think Dawson Knox is gonna take some reception yards away from those guys too. I think their two leaders in yardage are gonna be Diggs and Knox.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see who that number 3 person is gonna be. I think Cole Beasley takes a big step back, unfortunately, because he was their speed guy, and now you got Diggs in town. So, of course, I'm going to rewrite some of those speed routes for Diggs instead of Beasley.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And well, maybe Beasley now goes to his true position, stays in the slot with Diggs and Brown on the outside. Because Brown's a speed guy, too. Like, I mean, he really is.
Speed. I love that.
So I like that. What I don't know, and maybe that is part of the reason why they rush, is like how this offensive line shakes out. Obviously, they can run block, right? They can definitely run block, but you know, I want to see Josh Allen not, just make another step forward, I guess you could say.
Be a little more comfortable. I would like to see him look a little more comfortable in the pocket.
Right, exactly. So, but to like, I guess my hot take, if you want to say it, is even with Diggs, to be honest with you, Drew, like, I'm not really sold on their wide receiver core. So I
feel like John Brown has one of those great years, mediocre year. Terrible year, great year, mediocre year. You know
Yeah, he hasn't been a guy who, like, has, I want to say, topped 1,000 yards, to be honest with you. Like,
I would be surprised if he did.
No, actually, I think he did last year, honestly. I think he did last year.
He hit 1060 last year.
Yeah, so just over, but, like, not before. But I will say, I do kind of like their offense. I want that offensive line to protect. Moving over to the defense, man.
He hit 1,000, one more, and 15. So he's
Okay,
had
so
2,000
right, but it was some years.
He's also had 700 and 299 one year. So.
Yeah. So I mean, just like kind of more adding to your point, but like as far as his defense is concerned, this is where I really think you see a lot of those Panther connections with McDermott and Brandon Bean, Star Latulele, Vernon Butler. They just get.
I miss Star, man. Gotta love
yeah.
him. When him,
he was a plugger,
him
man.
And Short were in the middle, man. That's when I feel like we shine.
Drew, how did you feel about them taking Vernon Butler and Mario Addison? Now, I will say, right, I believe Addison had 9.5 sacks last year. Vernon Butler, who was a guy who had underperformed, I want to say had 5 sacks last year. And so he kind of started to take that step, and then they get rid of both of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much Butler's going to be on the field.
Okay.
They have a pretty good
he's got
rotation.
in a backup role, it looks like.
Yeah, with Quentin Jefferson will be on the field too, and Oliver and Latilla. So I'm not quite sold on how much Butler's actually going to be on the field. But they get a great rotation player in Addison. He's not an every down guy, but he will get you. He's increased every year that he was on the Panthers and stuff.
Right. Yeah. And now
and AJ Klein. AJ Klein was a Panther too.
Oh yeah, that's right. I knew. Yeah, that's right. He was.
And Josh Norman's on the squad too.
Yeah, so they get Josh Norman now. So that's what I was kind of going to say.
Norman as a starter. You don't think Norman will be a starter?
No, that's what. So like they don't bring a guy in like Josh Norman at this stage in his career to sit and or be a third corner, right? Like they don't. Right. They're not doing that. So I think he starts over Levi Wallace. But I will say, their corners now with one of the best corners in the league and Trey White out of LSU, and Josh Norman, even at this point in his career, that gives you 2 solid corners, and then you got Micah Hyde on the back end. I'm a huge
fan of Micah Hyde.
I love Micah Hyde.
Shout out to my buddy Gary Miller. He's a Raleigh comic. I put up that who's got the best secondary in the NFL poster today, and he's a Buffalo fan, so he was a little. He was mad at me for leaving him off the poster, and I apologize.
Okay,
Gary.
all right.
They deserve to be up there. He's
okay.
Like Buffalo, White is a star, Levi Wallace is a solid number 2, and Hyde, Poyer, arguably the best safety duo in football. So shout out to Gary for sending
Shout out to you, Gary. And that's another thing. So, like, if we give any takes on this show, Drew, I think you can definitely, come in with me. Call us out. Interact with us, man. Leave comments below, and we'll talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. So we'll get to
the great thing about football is everyone's got an opinion about something.
Exactly, and we want to hear yours. So like, let us know. But yeah, so talking about this, I honestly, man, like with Addison coming in, right? With Addison coming in, I'm with you on Butler, but I think with Jerry Hughes being around and being a veteran guy, I think they bring Addison in to push him. So like maybe that goes, and then
he'll definitely get his reps.
I'm not sold on Trent Murphy either. So obviously with the rookie AJ Epinesa, you bring him in. I think at those end spots there's going to be some competition there, but that back end looks like it's solid though. I'm loving that back end.
That produces more sacks, when you got people pushing each other. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they went 10-6. You got to think this is their division to lose this year. They've got the pieces in place.
I honestly like the Bills, man, and there's just something about Josh Allen, man.
Too. They got Jets, Dolphins, Rams, Raiders, Titans to start the season.
Yeah, I looked at their schedule and I don't know if they take it. I want to see how it shakes out, but I will say that they will at least at their worst have 6 wins at least. Just looking at the schedule, I think they could be 9-7, but I don't know what wins this division.
They're in the trenches kind of team too, you know what I mean? So they're going to get some dirty wins too.
Exactly,
and some 9-6 wins,
Yeah, and they're like that's their kind of. I really love Sean McDermott, man. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I really miss Sean McDermott. And kind of backtracking a little bit, but that's another reason why I kind of sneakily like that Josh Norman pickup, because when Sean McDermott had his hands on Josh Norman, he played the best in his career. So
the best, and he hasn't been that since then. So
right, exactly. So
if he's gonna play for any team, he needs to be playing for McDermott.
While we looking at this schedule, Drew, I'll just ask you this: how many wins do you think wins the AFC East this year? Out of all 4 teams, how many wins take it?
I think if you get 10. I think if you can
10
get
wins,
10, you can win this.
Yeah,
I think if the Bills can get 10-6, if they sneak, I think if they want a little more insurance and get a higher seed in the AFC, total.
Right.
They get an 11-5. They're sitting pretty.
Well, and that's what I like about the Bills though, is because like I think like just looking at it, like I said earlier, minimum 6 wins, but honestly I think they at a minimum you're really looking at 9-7 with this team since they were a playoff team last year.
Yeah.
And talking about some of those gritty wins, like those gutsy wins, that could push them to 10-6, maybe even 11-5 if they get on a hot streak. And they end at Miami in week 17, right? So like that, they're going to be playing their starters, especially if they're around that. And the way this division could shake out, if they're vying for that 7th spot or even, winning their division, that game is a W. I'm calling that right now. So,
sure. Okay, I'll give you that. And I mean, I think this season will solidify if they're going to be in that new breed of changing of the guard, because the old AFC powerhouses aren't there anymore.
You're right.
You don't
You're
have
right.
the Broncos. You don't have the Colts.
Yep.
And
the Steelers, right? Yeah, they're I
mean, that new breed, the Chiefs, Ravens. If the Bills have a good year, they can start being in that group.
Well, and that's just the kind of the old adage, man. But somebody's got to take it, right? Like somebody's got to take it. So like, why not them? So, and I think they could do it.
They got
why
the
not?
Coach. Allen's a game manager enough. You know what I mean? I think I think this is their year to shine.
Exactly. So. Now is the time to get to it. Jamal Adams, Drew. What did you think when it finally happened?
I mean, Seattle. that was my original reaction. Like Seattle.
I did not. I really didn't see Seattle being the team.
Keep getting richer, man. Like, come on. Like, you've been known for a great defense. I mean, they were called the Legion of Boom. Like, come on. Like.
Yeah, and now they get it back with Jamal Adams. You know what?
Finally declining, and now we got.
And that's why they made the move. Again. And I feel like
kudos to them.
Yeah, they felt it coming, and they made a splash. Now they give up a lot though, and you give up Bradley McDougall. Yeah. And
I mean, I know I said it before, 2 first rounds for a safety, and I still agree with that. Like, I don't think they should have given up 2 first rounds and McDougall for him.
No.
But out of those drafts, do you get a player that's better than Jamal Adams?
And that's the beautiful thing about it, is it has to shake out, right? Like, it's got to shake out. You get Adams, and what I was gonna say is, like, my favorite thing about Jamal Adams, like, I watched his like behind the scenes where he was just diagnosing plays for like 30 minutes, and you forget how cerebral a player that he is, man. And like, he can call you out. He's gonna know. And now he's on that defense with that coach and that atmosphere. Like, sky's the limit for him.
Is he the best safety in the league?
He's the best safety in the league. He's the best safety in the league. Yes.
I just wanted to ask someone.
Oh, for sure. And like, I'll be honest on him. Like, I knew he was a pedigree guy, but I did not think he would. I knew he'd be good, but I didn't think he'd be that good. Right? Yeah. I didn't think he'd be that good. But like, to answer your question, 2 first rounds and a third. Like, let's not forget how the value of the third round pick is.
They did get a 4th back, but still.
Yeah. And you lose Bradley McDougall, who will, like, we're talking about the Jets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, we'll get to their safeties when we're talking about their defense, but let's just say you lose. Go ahead.
I did see a little rumor today where McDougall is trying to recruit Clowney to come to the Jets now, because they're good friends. So that could be a bigger win for the Jets if they turn this into Clowney too. I like it.
I like that. But what I was gonna say is, like, we talked about McDougall a couple episodes ago. You know how high I am on him as a safety who not many people know. Unless you're in Tampa or Seattle. So, but I really like, even what I was going to say is, if you lose Jamal Adams, and I still like their safety room, right? Yeah. So I still like their safety room. So getting to their draft, I really like their draft. I love their draft. So get. Go ahead.
I feel like every time I heard anybody talk about the draft, they talked about that tackle from Louisville,
Mekhi Becton. And that dude Drew. He is a mauler of humans. Like, he just eats people. And he's like,
Adam Gase can get him to hit him in the face and fix his eyes.
Is Adam Gase on drugs?
I don't know. He's just a weird guy, man.
Right?
Did you have that coach growing up? Just a weird person.
Yeah, definitely. I think we all had one. Yeah, we all had one.
I had a freshman baseball coach. Just had that look.
That's funny. That's funny because I know who his freshman coach is, and this is a long-standing feud. Yeah. This is a long-standing feud. Yep. But I'm with Drew on this, and you know who you are, you son bitch. So anyway, Mekhi Becton, he was a guy who, like I said, a mauler of human beings, but he's definitely he's a run blocking guy, and he's a potential guy too. So they think there could be a potential there for him to not be as great, but he has his traits really project him to be the next great left tackle, I think is what I'm trying to say. So
right. I mean, my man's 6'7", 364. Like,
yeah, and he runs like his 40 time was hysterical, like it was crazy.
Yeah.
So that's what they're looking at, not necessarily what he already has on tape, especially coming from that Louisville system where he was just kind of, doing his thing more than playing in the real pro style system.
Structure there, you know what
exactly.
I mean? I think they just like, go hit somebody, man.
But now getting around 2 on the Jets, they get a receiver that is 6'3", 4.39 speed, and Denzel Mims playing in that aerial offense down there in Baylor. He's a touchdown machine, so he could wind up shaking out to be.
About that pick.
Me too, man. Shaking out could be when it's all said and done, one of the best receivers in the draft, and you get him in round 2. So there's that. Now moving on to round 3, their draft goes deep. Like Ashton Davis, a guy that I love.
I did hear his name come up quite a bit.
Yeah, like he's a guy that I love. Stand for him. He was his number 1 safety coming out in the draft. I watched his tape. Free range guy, Drew. Like this dude can play on the back end. Like really
kind of guy.
Yeah. Maybe not quite as physical, but definitely the range and like elite range. Like I really loved him.
I feel like you got to be versatile these days if you want to be
with safety. Yeah, exactly. So the edge rusher out of Florida, and then you come back to Florida.
He just jumped up out of nowhere.
Right, yeah, he's back there. I mean, but you know what it is he is loving these takes right now that we doing. So he had to be a part of it,
like,
right?
I agree.
I agree with everything. You live in front of a studio audience, folks.
Yeah.
Where else you going to get this, man? But you come back to Florida in round 4 with LaMichael Piron, and then
I think I enjoyed watching him play in college.
Right,
I mean, that's a great pick.
Right,
did he drop because of his size? Like,
I think maybe it was a little bit of the Florida program. I'm not quite sure, but but he's a very underrated guy, and I think I'm not sure if he was a junior coming out, but he definitely could have. If he was, he probably could have used another year, I think. Gotcha. And that's what they were looking at. But coming back, their QB in round 4, James Morgan out of FIU, bro, like he was a dude that I wanted for Tampa. Honestly, like coming back out, and it was honestly like they took him, and I was a little bit pissed off that they took him because with the Brady situation, you obviously want to have a young QB in your system, right? So he was a guy that I really, really, really wanted, and they took him. So that's how deep their draft goes. And then I love their pick in round 5 in Bryce Hall out of UVA, a gritty corner.
Him.
Yeah,
I watched him, and like I said, I'm an ACC guy. I watched him in college, and he put that Virginia defense on his back quite a few times.
Yeah. So I love Bryce Hall. I think they thought he might go a little higher, but they get a gritty player around 5, man, a good player. So their draft goes very, very deep. I love it.
I like how they pretty much minus a pick kept it all East Coast guys.
They did do that, didn't they? Yeah. You know what it was is they knew Corona was coming before it happened, and they wanted to stay regional. Right, exactly.
They don't have to travel a lot, and
or maybe
them for getting a punter in the 6th round.
Yeah,
look at that.
Exactly. And then now that you're saying it, like following that timeline out, like maybe did they just not trust their West Coast scouts?
I guess not.
Right.
Fired him.
Right. Yeah.
Not gonna listen to him.
I guess that's what it looks like happened. Yeah.
I do have a couple of concerns with this offense. Obviously.
Me too. Me too. It's Sam Darnold, man. Like, can he be better, Drew? Like, can he be a little bit better?
Joe Flacco's right behind him, so.
Exactly.
And
what
can teach him a couple of things.
It might be a savvy pickup. I was actually like great lead in, man, because I was gonna ask you, like, if it gets dicey, would they dare put Flacco in even though they have a young quarterback?
They have
to. All right.
And also, I mean, Sam Darnold hadn't proved to us he can stay healthy too. You know what I mean? Like the kid got mono for Pete's sake. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Who still gets mono though? Right? Like, did your mom kiss you goodnight and you got mono? Like,
it probably wasn't his mom, but he was probably doing some things. I mean,
doing too much at church camp.
I'm with you though, man. Like he only was +6 in TD to interception ratio. I want to say it was 19 TDs, 13 interceptions, right? So like not great for what you want out of your QB. Believe me, I know about TD to interception ratio with Jameis Winston being the 30-30 for guy in 2019, right? So,
and he got sacked 33 times.
Right. So that's why you get Mekhi Becton though. And what I was reading an article before, and it's like, okay, so you took the offensive tackle with potential, right? But like maybe for investing in your quarterback, you should have taken a tackle with a little bit more refinement to his game. Yeah, you know what I mean? So
day one plug-ins here.
Exactly. Plug and play, man. Yeah. So I do like them signing Flacco, man. Le'Veon Bell. Is he healthy? Play? Is he focused? Yeah, is he healthy? Is he focused?
Does he care anymore?
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't feel like the guy cares anymore. Like, I'm here, whatever.
Right, and that's what like made it so interesting that he was like talking to Jamal Adams about like being a team guy and doing all this stuff. Right. And, like he doesn't seem like the most team guy anyway. You know what I mean?
Right. So, out of anyone, you should know the business. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Like the Jets were not going to pay him going forward. He wanted to leave. Bell should definitely understand that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, and I agree. What I do love though, Drew, is I'm gonna be honest, I like their wide receiver trio, man. Their wide receiver trio. So
I feel like Jamison Crowder is one of the most underrated receivers in the league. He is,
and that's another. So you add Denzel Mims to that. You have Jamison Crowder and a consistent, dynamic guy in Jamison Crowder. He just gets touchdowns now. What I will say is there's an underrated signing, and I have a little homegrown flavor here, but like Brashard Perryman you get from Tampa. And I'm gonna follow this theory out. And like I give Jameis a little flack, but you cannot say, Drew, that like this man has not gotten receivers paid, right? Vincent Jackson, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Brashard Perryman. Like these are people that
had some great receivers.
Right. So this kind of moving this along, but like Brashard Perryman was a guy who down when Evans and Godwin were out last year, 5 TDs in 5 games, right?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Like that, right down the stretch. So like I really like that. So you have that trio there, and then you also have Josh Dotson, the former Raider, the former Washington player. Excuse me, former Washington player.
He's a little underplayed. You know, he hadn't played up to his ability.
Right.
He also got that two-headed duo in those tight ends of Herndon and Griffin that I think are going to be fantastic for that young quarterback.
Yeah,
Herndon had a great year last year. Griffin,
right.
I think that those could be 2 of his big targets this year.
Yeah, and I think they probably go a little more wide receiver heavy unless the tight ends are just blowing it out of the water, and it kind of dictates your offense. I want them to protect a little bit better, and you're relying heavy on a rookie left tackle at, like we talked about, arguably the second most important position on offense. So I want to see how that plays out. But moving along to their defense, man, like Quinnen Williams, where you at? What you doing? Like, are you going to show up? Like, I don't know.
Poor CJ Mosley's on the back end of his career hanging out.
Just hanging. You put it right, man. Like, 'cause that dude just hanging out. Like he's a damn good player.
But he went from the Ravens to the Jets, and he's just like, I'm here.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. So what I will say though is like you do have some pieces on D. Like I love Marcus May. Obviously I love Bradley McDougald, and now you have Ashton Davis. So like their safety room is good, and then you have CJ Mosley. If Quinnen Williams can be a little bit better, I do like Terrell Basham. He's a good player, but other than that, like I'm a little bit worried about their front.
Yeah, I feel like they draft great pieces for the front 7 every year, and then they walk after like 2-3 years.
Yeah, and you want to know, like, you're right. I think it's been kind of a streak for them, like going in on.
I feel like they get a tackle first round every year. I mean, a defensive tackle usually. Yep. They switch it up and got offensive.
And then they trade them away. So like, and these are first round picks. These aren't like late round guys either. So, which I really don't know. Like, honestly, I'm really worried about their front. But if I'm looking at their schedule, and this is where it gets kind of dicey for me with the Jets.
I didn't know they went 7-9 last year.
Right. Not only did they go 7-9, Drew, but they went 6-2 down the stretch, my guy.
Ooh,
so right. So they ended very, very hot.
They got a late bye too. They got that 11-week bye that could help.
Yeah, and that could definitely help them going forward. But they were so maybe Sam Darnold has finally hit his stride, ending 6-2, right? But their 2020 schedule is tough, and like
Buffalo, San Fran, Colts,
and then Indy
Broncos,
at Indy, at Indy, and I don't know what you get. So like I think if it goes bad, they could be 1-3, and then but you get Arizona right after that.
And the Chargers.
I do like they have Miami bye and then Miami, so I think they
helps.
get. I think they get both, if not definitely one of those games, right?
Yeah, I think they'll split with Miami.
Yeah, but I can honestly see them maybe going 5-11. Like, prove me wrong, you know what I'm saying? But I just don't see it for them. But I do like certain spots on their team.
Yeah, I had 5-11, 4-12.
Okay.
I think they're gonna have a rough year.
Yeah, we in lockstep on that one, man.
I'm not gonna lie about it. I hate their head coach. Yeah, it's not a big fan of Crazy Eyes.
Yeah,
don't think he's a good coach.
You're right. I hate Adam Gase. But
no, I like Flores. I think let's go ahead and kick it into the Dolphins. Man.
Yeah,
I'm
like
excited about it.
I sort of am, man. Like, and maybe it's just the Fist magic rubbing off on me again. I don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
I mean, does he have any magic left?
No, unfortunately, because
does he have to? Because how long before Tua plays?
Exactly, and that's why I think his magic's rubbed off on everybody else. Because maybe he starts a game, but what do you think, Drew? Like, does Tua start, or what's the over? I put the over under at 5 games before Tua comes in.
Yeah, I was thinking that they got Fitzpatrick. They got to.
What did they do with Josh Rosen, man? Like, which we'll get to in a minit, but go ahead, man. My fault. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I don't know what they do with Josh Rosen.
Right, man.
But personally, I hate Josh Rosen, so I hope he just gets buried on the bench. One guy I talk about Josh Allen. I was wrong about Josh Allen, but I also hated Josh Rosen as a quarterback
coming out. Yeah,
too, so,
he was the dude. He had the hot tub in his room, right?
I don't know.
I want to say he did. Yeah, I want to.
Don't like the kid. Didn't like him at UCLA. Don't think he played really that well in college.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. So they do get Tua, right?
Tua's an NFL quarterback.
I do. I definitely do. And he has a lot of refinement to his game, man. And the easy comparison for him is Russell Wilson. Similar style, similar look, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but this dude's a passer, man. Like, he is a passer. If you can protect him, obviously, you see what happens.
You hit it right on the head, man. I worry about his durability.
Right. So, and this is the NFL. This ain't college, folks. Like, everybody ain't going pro, man. But I do like Tua. What I don't like, I don't really care for, is their second pick in Austin Jackson. He was part of that tackle class, but I think he was a little overrated. I'm not
a big USC fan, so I don't think he comes from a great program either.
Like they have people in spots. Shout to Ronald Jones, who not saying anything about that guy. But Auburn, I do like that Auburn CD who can come in and play their slot. So other than that, maybe they have some guys down there.
They did go offensive line heavy.
And
Robert Hunt out of Louisiana Lafayette, and they also got another guard in the 4th round.
Yeah, and a lot of people like Curtis Weaver. Apparently, during his collegiate career, he had 34 sacks, nice. Which is pretty consistent. So,
shout out to Jason Strobridge, 5th round defensive end out of UNC. Got a hell of a player there.
Yeah, he looks tough. He looks like a really good run stuffer for them.
Big plays for UNC last year. So
yeah. Player. So I will say, initially, I was not sure what the plan was there, right? But then, I started looking at their depth chart and their free agent signings and stuff like that, and
I'm kind of excited about their running backs, man.
Right. They got some
underappreciated guys that I think are dying to be on a team that can break out.
Exactly. So you bring in Jordan Howard. Now you get Matt Breida, and then you have a third guy in Kalen Ballage, who
he wasn't a slouch. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. So I really like excluding Ballage. I really like Howard and Breida together, right?
Yeah,
as a 1-2 punch. So
because Breida's unfortunately showed last year he's not the main guy.
Right, but he's a damn good compliment, right?
Hell yeah.
And then Jordan Howard is a run pass guy. So I do like Devontae Parker. What I was going to say.
I'm a big
Allen Hurts is a good player. He's a good player too, but you have Preston Williams, who was a guy who got injured, and at the time when he got injured, he was actually their leading receiver, right? Yeah. Like, so he, I want to say, played for Tennessee, and a dude who I love, at Evan Winter on Twitter, said he was a really consistent guy, even though he transferred. Okay. But he was a guy, like, obviously he really started to come alive before he got injured. So nice. I really like Mike Gesicki.
Picked up Matt Collins too, who had a couple of good games for Philadelphia last year too.
So exactly. So talking about the people that they brought in, right? I didn't know what the plan was because you cut Rashad Jones and Aqib Talib, like they're no longer here. But then you bring in Kyle Van Noy, like great player for from the Patriots.
And you bring Lawson.
You got Shaq Lawson, but you bring in Matt Breida. We just talked about him. You also bring in Byron Jones from the Cowboys to play your corner spot, right?
That's
so now,
big
right? So we are going to talk about their defense. So, but looking at their offense, though, I do, like I just said, I love Gesicki. I'm very worried, and that's why I think Fitzpatrick could wind up starting a little bit more games, like at least 5, because their offensive line is. I like you have a rookie, like I just talked about how overrated Austin Jackson could be. Then right next to him, you're putting Eric Flowers at your left guard spot, and Eric Flowers is dumpster juice. Like that dude is garbage.
I mean, like, they do have the stout defenses of New England and Buffalo
to contend with, right? Like, so I don't know about that offensive line, man.
And
but
Seattle
like
in Week 4. Like,
and so, but I do like. I like their receiving core, could be underrated. I like their running back core. Fitzpatrick, I mean, especially coming out the gate, I like him coming off the offseason to shock you. So maybe they could shock some people at the beginning, but I just don't know.
I don't know.
I think they do want to trade Josh Rosen this season and they get something for him, but what it is, I don't know. But we'll see. If Tua's healthy, it could be interesting.
You see a fit for him? Like, I don't see a team that's really like. I mean, if Cam's not getting picked up, and it took Jameis forever to get picked up, what's the market like for Josh Rosen?
I mean, there's some obvious things I could say there, but you know what I mean? But, we're going to leave it at that. But Josh Rosen, I think, honestly, and I'm going to be completely honest with you here, if the tape is there and the traits are there and this coach thinks that he could get something out of him to be like such a young guy who's kind of been, 1, down on his luck, and 2, looked over, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. Because, but that's what I'm saying. Right,
exactly.
You bring in a guy who has some potential, who has, it was a first-round pick. Like, first-round picks are going to get chances, folks. So, you could bring him in and see what he has, especially if you can get him for peanuts. Like, I don't see why not, but that's just my own personal opinion, you know what I mean? Right. But I could see it. So, what I do love, Drew, like, moving along to their defense, like I said, you have some spots. I love their back end, man. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, man. Xavier Howard, one of the great corners. Byron Jones, one of the great corners at your 2 spots, right? And then you lock down the 3rd spot with the fresh rookie. And I'm just gonna try to pronounce his name. I want to say Igbinagine. I want to say
that sounds right.
That sounds about right. Sure. But anyway, out of Auburn, he's a great player, man. A really gritty guy. So I really like their corners and their back end. And also Eric Rowe is no slouch either. So with Calvin Noy, Shaq Lawson, Christian Wilkins, their rookie, I want to see him step up. Raekwon Davis, like there's some potential here, man. And I do like it maybe better than a lot of other folks. I do like him as a defensive guy, though. I do like him as a defensive coach.
I don't know, man. I think defensive coaches have a little bit easier in the NFL these days.
Like a transit.
Yeah,
sure. I got you.
You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's gonna be great.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like kind of looking at the right.
Good for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Starting 0-7, finished 5-11. Which
now
they
go ahead.
Should they have tanked? I know they were tanking for Tua all year and they still got their guy, but would you rather have Burrow or Tua right now? Heading into the season, you get both of them. Which one would you rather personally have?
See, like, and that's how much I like Tua, man, that I'm actually thinking about this. But Burrow was fire all season. Yeah. Like he was nails. God, you put me on the spot here, Drew. Honestly, man, I think I think long term, I'm gonna go with my gut, man. I'm gonna go Tua.
Okay, I'm a Burrow guy. I think he's gonna
right.
I for some reason feel like Tua's gonna get hurt. I think
I can see that.
I think
but
he's
Burrow's
always gonna be. We're always gonna talk about, man, Tua could have been something special.
Yeah,
and
maybe
like
it's because
I don't trust that hip. I don't trust that hip.
No, I'm with you, and of course, like he's gonna say otherwise, and he's gonna try to show otherwise. But Burrow, I don't think initially has the situation that he would really need to thrive. So like that's, I think if I think Tua may have a little more, and we haven't looked at the Bengals yet. You know what I'm saying? But like I think Tua may have a little bit more if he is healthy.
They just start off so tough, man. First start of that season was so tough.
It is at New,
and it doesn't get better
England.
after the bye week. They still got Kansas City, the Pats, and Buffalo after the bye.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I think you definitely get Jacksonville, but maybe you start, you could be 1-2, and then you got Seattle, San Fran. What do you get from there? And that's at San Fran, at Denver, so they stay there.
Mike could get the Chargers, maybe steal one from the Rams, but I still think. I don't know.
Go ahead.
I think it's tough. I think we're looking at a 4-12, 3-13 team.
Yeah. Now I will say this, right? So the last season they did go 5-5 in their last 10 games, right? They did go 5-5 in their last 10 games. I'm gonna tell you this, Drew. I think Dolphins go 6-10, man.
Okay. All right.
I think they go 6-10, and I'm gonna tell you this, like, because I was looking at their schedule, right? So like, what I don't want you to do, folks, what I don't want you to do is they could get hot enough with this 2020 schedule at mid-season, and I don't want you to blow your wad at mid-season, right? Because they could be fancy, like they could be hot at the mid-season mark, and then they're gonna let you down, right? Yep. And that's when I think they regress to 6-10, right?
And they draft Trevor.
Hey, man, look, man, you can't be putting this on my dude, man. Like, you out here just throwing bombs, like throwing bombs like TDs out here, man. Like, you can't be doing that, my man. Come on.
All right. Well, what you got? What's your order? What's your 1, 2, 3, 4 in this division?
All right. I would say my 1 is probably going to be the Bills. I like the Bills in this division. I'm gonna be honest with you. Bills, Pats, and Dolphins and Jets, man. I think the Dolphins climb out of the cellar and be better than the Jets are. You know what I'm saying? They take that third spot.
I'm gonna go Bills, Pats, Jets, Dolphins tie.
Oh, okay. That would be interesting to see how that shakes out in the draft.
Equally terrible. I think they both go 4-12, maybe 5-11.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is like just launch those two teams in the dark side of the moon. Basically, is like
I think the Bills get this deserving finally division title.
They take the crown,
and I think the Pats still get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I could see both of those teams getting in, especially because, like, I don't know, you talked about the powerhouses maybe not, you know what I mean, like being what they once were, and then these new powerhouses, the Chiefs and the Ravens.
It's really just who's going to get beat by them.
It's like they know what their, fate is going to be, basically, which honestly I could see that too. So, Drew, what we got for the people next week, man? What are we doing next week?
Well, we're sticking with the old AFC, so
I
say we hit up the AFC North.
Let's go North.
AFC South for last.
We got to do it last. You know what that is. You know what that is. Yeah.
So I figured let's do the AFC North next. See what that gets us. And
I'm with you. I'm very curious to see about these Steelers, man. I really want to do a deep dive into them because there's a lot of people, being from Philadelphia, there's a lot of my family who was actually Steeler fans as well. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, always had like kind of
friends that have struggled through the Browns years. And I got shout out to my favorite in the morning DJ, Randy Slack. He's a Bengals fan, so I definitely want to get
nice. Yeah, I know a lot of Browns fans too, man. Shout to my guy, who I'm talking to, man, my guy Mike, man. But he's a huge Browns fan, and I definitely want to do a deep dive into them. And then, like, another reason, like, why we definitely connect talking about my guy Mike is Browns fans and Bucks fans have an awfully lot in common. So they're another team, like, I just always, like, have had my eye on them. I've always liked what they've done. And and just I always root for an underdog, right? So like that's a team I want to pay attention to. I want to see what the Steelers are about. So it could get interesting next week, man. I'm with you.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah.
Follow me on Instagram at Laugh with Harrison. Check out DrewHarrisonComedy.com. You can check out our YouTube page.
Yes.
YouTube.com/DA Harrison15. Check up on all those past episodes.
Yeah.
Sudsy, where can I find you
at the kid Suds, at the kid_Suds on Twitter. Definitely think about starting the IG back up. Like, I'm not excited about it, but follow us on. Yeah,
work on our IG page.
Do find us at nickel_Dom football. That is where you can find me on IG, because it's strictly football content, man, and that's what I love about it, right? So we do want to interact with you, man. So leave comments below. Make sure to follow all those pages, man. Drew is a hilarious comedian if you don't already know that. So and just I'm here for the football stuff, man. Football and gifs and memes and shenanigans on Twitter, man. So
send it all to us.
Send it all to me, man. Yeah.
Make a cool meme, football related, and we'll post it on our IG page for you.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. So I guess that's it for us, man. Drew, you got anything else?
No, man. I know that we're keeping these at like an hour, but.
Oh yeah, it's about there. I know that's how it is. Listen, we appreciate everybody, man. We'll see y'all next week.
See you next week.